Hi guys, good evening everyone. This is Ashank David and welcome back to our live session today. Yesterday we were not able to come live because of the technical issues that we have having. Yesterday our CPU was gone, so because of that reason our live schedule was scheduled for that time, but we failed to come because of the issues that happened at the last moment with our CPU. But now we are back here, our CPU is also back, I am also back here. Let us continue from where we left day before yesterday. In this session, if you don't know what we are doing C++ live, as you have already seen in the title and thumbnail, that we will be doing C++ object oriented programming, and this is for the prerequisite requirement for the DSA live session that we are doing every day in evening 6 o'clock. So if you are interested in learning object oriented for free totally, you can join this live stream. Before I start with this live stream, guys, I would like to request you guys to please share and like this live stream so that this live stream can reach to most of the people who requires object oriented programming. And this is a very important concept that you guys have to learn, and let's continue into it. Okay, this is Ashank David. Let us start our live session. In the previous live session, I just gave, I guess this is the second live session, and in the previous live session I have just explained you what exactly is object oriented programming, how to do object oriented, what is the meaning of object oriented programming, and what are the use cases of it. I have explained you all of that. In terms of DSA, why object oriented programming is so much important for us, and how we would implement the concept of classes and object. In the last class we have understood about classes, objects, attributes and methods, right? So in this class let us continue from that place only, and if we remember correctly, I actually did till here. As you can see on the screen here, I have just written one program where I have just explained you about how the class was working, how the main function from where I was calling the objects and all of that. Understood? So we have done it till now here. Let us continue from this place and see what all things we can do. So guys, in the last class I have explained you the two methods. If you see, I have explained you the two methods. Let me come back here. What I am trying to say is, I have explained you these two methods. Those methods were basically two methods, okay, not actually two methods, but I would say that yes, in the last session I would have explained you like this, that I have explained you what are classes, what are objects, what are methods, and what are the attributes. Correct? Now classes were done. Our first step was to create the class, second step was to create the attribute, and if the attribute is present, we used to write the constructor. In today's class we will understand what exactly is a constructor, and with the constructor we will also understand the destructor as well in the program. Okay, so we will now talk about these two. Well, I told that if you have the attributes, then you write the constructor, or maybe if you require, you write the destructors. But if you don't have, if you do not have an attribute, then you do not write the constructor and destructor. I have explained you this in the last session. And in the last session, actually, if we talk about that, then in the last session I have told that how without the constructor you can do it. So from here we understood two methods. The first way is gonna be without the attributes of class. Now second thing that today we will learn in this concept is gonna be with attributes. With attributes of a class. That means in this case we will write today constructors and destructors in C++. Okay. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section, in the chat section. I have the screen right over there in front of me. So you can ask me any doubts and we can talk about that as well. So we will continue now. So this is what I have actually explained you, and if I show you the code, I have written the code till here where I have created the class hello, where we have told, I have explained you that there can be possibility of a class having the attribute or not, and if the class has the attribute then you write those attributes, and when you don't have the attributes you do not write or skip the attributes part. Well, in this case we did not have any attributes. As you can see, the class hello did not had any attributes, to be exact. Think about it. What can be the possible attribute of a class hello? We don't know. So in that case we just left it as it is, and I did not write the attribute part. If I don't write the attribute part, that means I don't write the constructor and destructors, right? We don't require, as I have already explained you in the theory part, right? So we don't read, I have not written any constructor or destructor. What is constructor and destructor I will explain you in a moment, in a few minutes, but focus on to what I am saying right here. So after creating the class, there was no attributes, so no constructor or destructor. Then we directly jumped onto the methods part, where this is the method which I have created, in this case void print hello, where inside this I was just printing hello. So cout and hello, simple as that. Okay. So in this case this was print hello and the class was printing hello, that's it. And then later on in the main function I have created the hello object. How did we create the object in C++? We have learned that you just have to write the name of the class and then the object name. That is it. This is how you normally create an object of a class. I hope so that this is very much clear and understood. Very important part, because every time we will create the object of a class in C++, you will create it like this. Okay. Now with that object I was able to access the function. What did I explain you about this object and functions? You see, by default, as I told you, that object oriented programming promotes security and reusability, these two things, right? Security and reusability. So when I am talking about reusability, of course reusability is happening because I can call that function n number of times from that particular class, but to access that function I need the object of the class to access it. Why? Because by default, as I have explained you, that anything written inside a class in object oriented programming is encapsulated, and when this is encapsulated, automatically security is achieved in this case. So in this case the security is automatically achieved. In this case what happens is that without creating the object you cannot access the print hello function. I hope so that this is very much clear to everyone, that this print hello function cannot be called without the object of the class. That is the reason why I am creating the object of that class hello, and this hello an object. Absolutely clear, guys? Next, after creating the object of the class, using that object I will be calling that function. Remember that function should be inside a proper public access specifier so that it can be accessed. Understood this, guys? Okay. So this is what we have actually done in the previous class. One more thing that I wanted to explain you before I go with the second scenario. In the last class I have told you that today I will be explaining you also about static keyword, correct? Static keyword. So what exactly is this? Let us understand. Now I have explained you about static keyword previously in our DSA live session for storage classes. We are talking about static keyword. Let's talk about this into depth. we are focusing on to more onto this static word, static keyword. Okay, what exactly is static? There are two places that where you can use this static keyword in object oriented programming. One is the storage class and the another is object oriented programming inside classes. Okay, so here this is a different thing and this is a different thing. Actually, this is a different thing, and what we are trying to talk about is gonna be related to this. Today we are talking about object oriented programming, static keyword. But the storage class static keyword, I have already explained this into my DSA live. I have done this already in my DSA live. I believe it is session number 2. I believe it is session number 2. So if you have missed this, please go ahead and watch this later on. Okay. But today we are discussing about the object oriented programming static keyword. Okay. So guys, what does this static keyword do? I have explained you one thing, that when a function is written inside a class, so for example you have class a student, you have written class student, and inside this class student there is a function inside public, there is a function called as, let's say, void some random function. Okay, some random function, there it is. Okay, some random function we have. Now if I write this random function as a random, just like some function, usually if I want to call this function, how would I call? In the main function I will create the object, and using that object I will call this dot function. Am I correct? Till now we have understood till like this, correct? Till now we have understood it like this. It is very simple as it is, right? But in this case, when we use a static keyword, listen to this very carefully, huh? When we write the static keyword with a function, in this case I am saying static void function, then you don't have to create, this allows us, you don't have to create, you don't have to create the object now. In terms of theory, when you write the static keyword with the function declaration, that means if your function name is void function, if you are writing a static void function, then that function is directly callable outside the class without creating the object of that class. Understood this? Let me explain you how. With the help of the program, let us try to execute this and understand this clearly. Now, speaking of this, let us say we have this class, and right now let me just delete this off. Okay. So right now this is our program. Imagine where I have written the class hello, inside the public we have void print hello, and it is straightforward simple that if I want to call this function, I need to create the object of the class like this, and then through that object I am accessing it and calling it. Because it is by default secured, it is by default encapsulated. In that scenario, it will work like this. But now you see, here I came, right here I came, let me just zoom in here a little bit. In right here I came and I said that I am going to write a static right here, static void print hello. And when I do this, I don't have to now create the object anymore. I don't have to create the object anymore. So I don't have to do it like this. Okay. I'll delete this only. read itself, the whole thing. I can directly call it, but you see that it is not directly calling it. As you can see here, it is not directly calling it. So why it is not directly calling it? Now in the theory I said that it will be able to call, right? But in the theory it is, I am saying like this, but practically it is not working. Why it is not working is because you see here carefully, observe one thing, that the function which we are trying to call is inside the scope of another block, which is the class here. In this case, this is another block and this is another block. You see, if this call was made from the same block, it would have been directly calling, it would have been like success calling that function. But right now, it does not have the access of that block, even though the theory is correct that the function will be directly callable. So what will I do? In C++, we can use colon 2 times, and before that I can write here the name of the class like this. You see, when I write the name of the class like this, what happens is that this you see right here, this you see right here is what? This is what you called as a scope resolution operator. A scope resolution operator allows you to resolve the scope of any function or any variable or basically anything in this case. I am specifying this, that from this hello scope, call this function. Now because this function is directly callable, I don't have to create any object. So I did not create any object, guys. This is not object creation. This is just resolving the scope using the scope resolution operator. This type of operator in C++ is exclusively available in the programming language C++, and you will be able to do it properly like this. I hope so that this is very much clear to all of you. Okay guys. So in this case, you saw today that here we are able to directly call the function without any worry. Understood this? Remember, this is not the object creation, this is the scope resolution. I am trying to resolve the scope of this call from telling that this function is being called from this scope. Clear? Correct. Well, that's it for this static keyword. So in this case, we saw that there are two ways of calling a function from inside a class. First one is without making the function static. The second one is with making the function static. Okay. I hope so that this is very much clear to all of you. One more thing, if you have a particular doubt in this case, one more thing that I want to tell you about this before you ask this doubt. Nobody asked this doubt in this whole session. And why? Because what doubt I am trying to say is, sir, can we, generally this is the doubts of other students which I am trying to clear. In this case, sir, if I made this function static, will the other functions also will become static? No, no, it is only exclusive to this particular thing. What I mean to say is, look here, in this case I have a function which is a static function, right? As you can see here, I have a function which is static. Now I am creating another function, let's say called as void hi. Okay, void, I am saying print hi. This was print hello, this is print hi, which is just doing nothing other than just printing hi. Okay, easy. Now observe this very carefully, that this function is not a static function, isn't it? This function is not a static function. So this function cannot be called directly like this, hello and then scope resolution. If you think that it is going to be print hi, see in the suggestion it is giving us, but it will not be callable. It is going to give us a error right here. You can see the error squiggle, right? Yeah. So in this case you cannot directly call this. So to call this, so it doesn't mean that if I made this function static, then this function also will become automatically static. No, no. You have to write static in a line. Other, like here we create labels for public, this is different. Both the functions are public in this case because it is a label in this case. But static we don't write as a label, we write it in line with the function declaration. So only my print hello function is a static. Other than that, my print hi function is a non-static member. According to theory, and you see that a static function, a non-static function, you have to create a object to call a non-static function. And if you are creating a static function, you don't have to create a object for it. Bonus question time. From this concept, you can go towards Java and understand this situation. You might have observed that we write in Java public static void main. We use a static keyword in the main function creation, right? You see, in Java, our main function is written inside the class, because Java is an object oriented programming language. Well, C++ is also object oriented, but it also supports procedural. So the code syntax says here that the main function should always be outside the class. But Java purely supports only object oriented, it doesn't support procedural. So if any language supports purely an object oriented language, it becomes mandatory for us to write each and everything inside the class. And when we write each and everything inside the class, our main function also goes inside the class in Java, correct? So in that case, we have to write public static void main. Why is static void main? Why static? Because main is a function. Usually when you run a compiled language like C++ or Java, what happens is that the compiler tries to execute the main function first, and when the main function is only non-static function, then the compiler has to create the object of the class in which the main function is kept, because main is a function. Imagine that. Main is a function, right? And if main is only written inside the class, and if it is non-static, from the object oriented properties and rules, we know this: when a non-static function is written inside a class, you have to create the object for it to access, and the main function is the first person to get accessed, correct? In that case, if that is a non-static function, we need to manually create the object to access that main function. But a computer cannot do that, or a compiler cannot do that. So by default, we make the function a static in Java, because main is written inside the class and the static keyword is mandatory. Otherwise, the main function cannot be called in the program execution. I hope so that this is understood and clear. This question is clearly and asked properly in interviews. Why in Java main function is always a static? Remember this, what exactly is a static? What the static keyword does in C++ with the function, this one, does the same exact thing in Java also. You see, today we are learning object oriented programming. It is not different from any other language. Object oriented programming is supported with very different kinds of other languages also. The key here is to understand the concept and try to implement it according to the syntaxes. While I hope so that this is very, very much clear. And this is the end of our static keyword concept. Now we can move on to the second way that I have told you. I hope so that the first way is understood. We can write an object oriented program without having the attribute of a class, and this is how it is written. We had a class hello and we did not had any attribute to that class, or we did not know about it. So we did not write any constructor here or destructor here. Oh, by the way, I have not completed this, right? Let me just complete it. So you see that I am not able to call this. So what I need to do is I need to create an object like this. I will just use the object to access it, and I will just write here obj like this. So you see that I am creating the object first, and through that object I am calling it. And now when I run this, you see that it runs smoothly, no problem. I hope so that this is very much clear. So hello and hi both got printed in this case. If you have any doubts, please let me know, ask me, because I am here for your questions only here, guys. Okay, right. Let's move on to my next scenario. When we have the class attributes, this was till here, this was the classes without attributes. Now, in this case, we will talk about classes with attributes. Okay, let us see. All right. If you have doubts, please let me know. Huh? Okay, so now take an example of a class. Take an example of a class with attributes. With attributes. What all things can be? With attributes, suggest me a class. We can have student. A student can have name and roll number. Okay, we can, this is the first class. We can have an employee class. Employee class, where we can have the employee name and we can have the employee ID. We can have more actually, employee salary as the attributes. Okay, we can have car, where we have brand name and we have manufacturing date. We can also have color. These are what? Attributes. So, what are these? These are all attributes. Okay. This is what? These are your classes. Okay. Now, when a class has attributes, say for example, these are the attributes, what you see here are all these the attributes. For each and every attribute, for each class, we have to create one constructor. Okay. What is a constructor? Now, let me explain you this with the help of the code. Well, let us change this program and let us create a class which actually has some attributes. Okay. I am creating a class. Let us say, what do you suggest? What class should I create? Maybe car. Let us create a car. Student would be very boring, because in the colleges and every place, every education institute, we do student only. Apart from that, employee is also underrated now. Let us do a car example. Car example would sound a little bit more interesting. Now, we have class car. Remember that the class name always starts with a capital letter. Okay. Now, inside this, and don't forget that the classes always end with a semicolon. Understood? All right. Next up, I said in this car class, I said that we had the attribute of the car, right? What were the attributes? Brand name, manufacturing date and color. We are going to take two, brand name and manufacturing date. All right. Or maybe let us do one thing, taking manufacturing date and color. Okay. So color can be of type string. Don't forget to write public. Okay, don't forget to write public. When you have attributes in the class, you see that when we did not have attribute in the class, we just directly started writing the constructor. We did not write the constructor. We started with the class creation, and directly in the public we created our void print hello, right? But in this case, we are not going to do this. What we are going to do is, inside the public, first we will initialize the attributes. So to initialize the attributes, first you need to declare the attributes, because this is a statically typed language. So in this case, let's say string color and int manu date, manufacturing date, this is gonna be. Okay. Now no spaces in this case. Manu date means manufacturing date. Okay. So guys, if you are thinking why I am using a string variable, yes, C++ do allow you to use a string as a variable. You got my point? Understood? Alright. So what we need to do? Next, once we are done with this, we need to create our constructor. Let us create the constructor. You see, once I have written this, I have created the class. I did not directly start the function, guys. What I have done is, I have created the variables. Those are the attributes. First one is string color, another one is int manufacturing date. Okay. Next up, in this case, whenever you have declared your attributes, next step is to create the constructor. Okay, you have to create the constructor. So now understand about what is this constructor thing. Okay, constructors, our concept of constructors finally started. Finally our constructor started. What is a constructor? And the answer is, constructor is a function which has the same name as the class name. Same name as a class name. So for example, if you have a class student, then its constructor will be student, and it is a function, right? So this parenthesis will come. I hope so that this is very much clear. A function which has the same name as the class name. This is the important thing. So if the class is a student, then the constructor name will also be student, followed by this, because it is a function. Okay, this is the basic definition of a constructor. Now we know this, that okay, it has the same name as the class name, but what is its job? So its job is, constructor are used for initializing the classes attributes. What is it? Attributes. Classes attributes, and also their main job is also to create the object. Of course, so there are two things that a constructor does, guys. A constructor does majorly have two jobs. First is create the object, object creation, and the second one is to initialize object attributes. You got my point? And this is the reason why I told you that whenever you have attribute to the class, you write the constructor, and whenever you don't have the attributes, you don't write the constructor. Now you might be wondering that I told that whenever you don't have the attributes, you don't write the constructor, and constructors are used to create the object as the primary part, right? So when I create the object, how does it works? When I don't have an attribute to the class, I am not creating the constructor, so how the objects are getting created? So let me clear all of that doubt first. Understand what is a constructor. Constructors are used for initializing the attributes, and also their main job is also to create the object. So constructor has two jobs, object creation and initialization of the attributes. Number one point, object creation. So guys, listen to this very carefully, what I am trying to say now, that even if you don't create a constructor in your program, by default a default constructor is created. By default, a constructor is created automatically into your program, even though you have forgotten to give the constructor of your own. And for that reason, I have specifically told you that when you don't have attributes, you do not create the constructor. Don't worry about it, just leave it like that. In our previous program of print hello and print hi, I did not had any attributes, and when I did not had any attributes, I just skipped the constructor, skipped the part of constructor, and when I did that, automatically the program created the constructor by default, because at last I was creating the object right? I was creating the object, and object creation requires constructor. Okay, specifying more into object creation. Number one point. The name constructor is used to what? Construct or build. Construct or build. But what to construct or build? Object. What is it? Object. This is a very important concept. You see, constructor is a function which has two main jobs, and that is to create the objects and initialize the attributes. When you don't write the constructor, automatically the constructors are taken because they are initialized. Their major job is to create the object for object creation, and without object creation, how you will run a program, at least how you will use the class, because half of the functions and variables are encapsulated inside the class in that public. So only objects can access the contents of the class. So object creation is ultimately very important, and hence the object oriented program name came. I hope so that you are getting my point, what I am trying to say, right? So in this case, object creation is very, very important, and if you don't create the object, most of the programs will not run. And how the object is created? With the help of a constructor. As the name suggests, constructor is someone who constructs or builds something. And what is this something? Object is that something, where object is created using the constructor. I hope so that this is very much clear. So with this, we have understood this, that constructors is a very important part of object oriented programming, and without it you cannot write anything, especially those classes which will have the attributes, because their attributes will have to be initialized. I told you what are attributes. Attributes are the variables which or the properties which are common to a class. Every object will possess it. Understood? If my class is car, my object is going to be a car. For example, let's take an example of BMW. My class is car, The blueprint is car, my object is BMW, and BMW attributes are its color and manufacturing date. Am I correct? In that case, BMW will automatically inherit this, not inherit, inherit is a wrong word. BMW will automatically possess these attributes, color and manufacturing date. I hope so that you are getting my point, the connections which we are making. Overall, constructors are very, very important in object oriented programming. Without that, you cannot do anything in this case. In Java also we use constructors, and yes, in Python also we use constructors. In Python you have that def double underscore init double underscore method which acts as a constructor in Python. So there you go. I hope so that you are getting my point, what I am trying to say. This was the major point which I wanted to cover in today's class, and very important for you to understand. So that's the reason why. Okay, apart from this, so constructor is something who constructs the objects in this case, right? Correct? So constructors are very important in this case. Well, speaking of constructors, one more point came out from this reason, that it is used to just construct. That is why that's why constructors will not have what? Return type. A constructor is used to construct. Understood? Constructors are used to construct. So constructor is a function which doesn't have a return type. Out of all the functions in the whole programming concept, this guy, the constructor guy, is the only specialized function which will never have a return type. So what would we understood by this constructor concept? That constructors are the specialized functions which will have the same name as the class name. They are used for two things. Number one, object creation. With object creation, once the object is created, because the class has the attributes, object will start possessing those attributes, and when the object will start possessing those attributes, we need to initialize those attributes also, no? So for that, the second job of the constructor is to initialize those attributes. Speaking of initialization in depth, what is this word initialization means? Now take an example. If we have a BMW car, car is what? It's a class. BMW is what? It's the object. And what was the attribute of this car class? Color and manufacturing date. Correct? Correct? So when I created this car, BMW, first thing that it will have is color, because I have written that as the attribute of that class car. Correct? Next thing what this car will possess is manufacturing date. Am I correct? But who is the person which will give the value to them? The constructor. First of all, I will call the constructor so that these properties are possessed by the BMW. Understood? Now, who will give the value to them? Is our BMW red and its manufacturing date is 1997. Are you getting my point, what I am trying to say? My question is, who will give these values? Who will give these values? Answer to this is constructor. Here giving the values means initialization. Very important. Very important. I hope so that this is very much clear to all of you. Please, if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section below and the live chat. Okay. Now you've understood the meaning of constructors. So they have two jobs: create the object. Second thing is to initialize the object's attributes which the object possesses, which are common to that class. In this case, in this example, BMW was the object and color and manufacturing dates were the attributes. And because they were possessed by this BMW, now who will decide that what is the manufacturing date and the color? Where did these come from? Because of a constructor these came from. So giving these values means initializing the value. So if constructor is creating the object, it is its duty to give the values of the attributes that that object is possessing. In simple and very much clear terms. I hope so that this is very much clear. Got it? This is what your constructor does. Summarizing the constructors, this is your constructors. Used to initialize and create the object. Object creation is very important because it creates the object, it doesn't have a return type. A good example of initialization is this only. Clear? Now let's understand what? How to code. This is my question to all of you. How to code for this constructor thing? Let us talk. So you see, in our program till now, creation of the car class is done. In the public, these are the two attributes that we are taking. Understood? Color and manufacturing date will be there. Now after this, as soon as you have written the attributes, your next step becomes to create the constructor. And from the theory that we have understood today, constructor is a specialized function which will have the same name as the class name and it will not have a return type. Understood? So I don't have to say void. Not even void is allowed, guys. Void is also a type of return type. Yes. Void means return just void. Do not return anything, return void. Void means empty. Still your function returns an emptiness. But in this case of constructor, there is no emptiness because there is nothing that it takes or gives. Its job is to create and initialize. Understood? So not even this is allowed. Okay? Directly write the class name with the parenthesis open. So my car is the class name, so car and then followed by this. And hence this is the constructor. Tada! Guys, am I absolutely clear to all of you? Today's class was very important because I was explaining you this very well. In this case, we are trying to understand and explain this properly. Okay? So this is our what? It is our constructor. Done. Chalo, we have finally came till this point. My question is still to you guys. How to code? We have understood that we can write the name of the class followed by the parenthesis and we can start our code. It is a function though, right, which doesn't have a return type, correct? So in this case, if I want to write, what I will write? What I will write? Now, listen to this guys very carefully. Very, very highly important point to note. Let us go to our main function first to understand this concept. I will create int main, and inside this at last we will say return 0, of course, right? Now I said that I will start by creating the object of this class called car. So I said, okay, how do we create the object? We write the name of the class, car, space, the object name. What is our object? Let's say BMW is our object. Okay, car, BMW. Now understand this guys. In the last example program, I ended here only. I did not write anything else. I just wrote obj, that's it. Okay, but here you see there is a constructor written. There is a constructor written. Because we had attributes in the class, we have constructor written. And when this is the case, then whenever you create an object, it is your duty to call the constructor explicitly like this. This parenthesis what you see right here in the object creation is the constructor call. So one more point came out. One more point came out guys. What is that point? Whenever an object is created, constructors are called. Very important line that I have written here. Whenever the object is created, constructors are called. This part is very important. In case of when you don't have the attributes, you don't write the constructor. So in that case, you do not call it explicitly, it calls it automatically. Like in the previous example which we have done for print hello and print hi. Are you getting my point? So in those cases, because we did not have the constructor, we did not have to call the constructor manually. Got it? Understood this real well, right? But in terms of this, when you have a constructor, you please have to call it. And in this case, in our program, yes, we had a constructor. So we have to call it. Correct? Understood this? Alright. Next, listen this very carefully. Listen to this very carefully. After you have created this BMW as the object, now you know this that BMW's attributes were color and manufacturing date, right? As I told you, as soon as the object is created, it will start possessing these attributes. So I created this BMW as an object, so it should automatically start possessing color and manufacturing date. Yes, it possesses. So in terms of, according to you, where should I pass the value for color and manufacturing date? Let's say my BMW is red and it is manufactured in 1997. So where do I write that red and 1997? Anywhere there is any place that you can see here? Yes. Where? Inside this parenthesis. Why? Because this parenthesis is what? It's a constructor call. And whose job is to give the values? It's the constructor's job to give the value. I hope so that you are getting my point. So in this case, I will pass the color here, which is red, comma, It is manufactured in 1997. I'll write car, BMW, red and 1997. Right now it's giving me an error. Why? Because this is a constructor call, right? And we have passed 2 parameters in the constructor, but there is no parameter written here. So what we need to do? We need to write those parameters, or in this case we will write these attributes. I told you that constructor's job is to create the object and constructor's job is to initialize the object's attributes. That means initializing of this. So what you will do? You will write these as the parameter of this constructor. Understood? So in this case, I'll just do copy and I'll paste it as a parameter. Okay. Separated by comma, I'll copy this and again I'll paste it like this as a parameter. Understood? I hope so that this is very much clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay. So in this case, this constructor is now taking up both colors and manufacturing date from the user. In this case, we are the user in this case. Understood? Let me just save it. This will go off. Yes, it went. So red goes here in color and 1997 goes in manufacturing date. Now guys, you created the object and called the constructor and you have given the constructor this value of color and 1997 as the manufacturing date. But you see how the constructor will take these values and will put it inside these attributes. How? Very important aspect. How? In this case, you will use this arrow color equals to color. Okay. This arrow manufacturing date equals to manufacturing date. Understood? Is that clear to all of you? Now, you might have seen this a lot of places, a lot of time. What exactly is this? What are these two things? So guys, now listen this very much carefully. What I am trying to say you now, listen to this very carefully. This arrow color, in terms of C++, we use arrow. This arrow color equals to color. You see, this color is this color. The parameter color is equals to color, this one. And this arrow color is actual above a parameter color here. You got my point? See here. See this. Okay. You are seeing this. I'm going to mark it down. I'm going to mark it down. Now you see. This red, what you see here, this red, where it is written in the constructor call, which means it is calling this constructor, right? This red is a parameter which is going right here. Correct? Am I correct? It is going right here into this color. Correct? And this 1997 is going right here in the manufacturing date. Am I correct? Yes. So I am saying now that this manufacturing date is this manufacturing date, which is citizen equals to. And this color is actually this color. Got it? Getting my point? So basically this red one is this and okay, and this green one 1997 is this, okay, and they are giving this value to this dot mandate and this dot color, which is basically this dot manufacturing date is actually this manufacturing date and this dot color is this color, string color. So you see how the connections are made. This red will go right here into the color as the parameter, and this is going to be set to equals to this dot color. So indirectly what is happening is that when you create BMW as an object, the values are copied to the constructor as a parameter, and then they are set is equals to the actual attribute of the class. So for that specific object, the values of their attributes are initialized using the constructor like this. I hope so that this is very much clear and understood by everyone. Okay. This is how it is actually used. This is how the actual constructors are used in real time. If you have any doubts, please do let me know in the comment section and chat. Okay. I am going to end this stream very soon, guys. That's all for today, by the way, because it's already time now. I have to prepare for the next live stream also at 6 o'clock for DSA. So we will end this live stream very soon, guys, but I hope so that today's you have understood this right well, how the constructors are working, what are constructors, how they work actually, all of these things. Now last thing that I would like to tell you about constructor is that you have understood what exactly is the constructor and all. In the next class I will tell you about, that is gonna be tomorrow at the same time 4 p.m. In the next class, I will be telling you about the types of constructor, the types of constructors, and the second thing is what are destructors, and I will tell you each and everything about destructors. Okay. So these two things. All right. Well, I hope so that you have understood this really well. If you have any doubts, I will tell me in the comment section. I will try to cover that as soon as possible. I will see you guys tomorrow again. Code part, because I have not done the code, I have done the code part also. So till now let it be like this. We will continue from here in tomorrow's session. Well, that's it for this class, guys. I thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as well as don't forget to press the bell icon also. One last thing, guys, we are giving placements also. So if those people who are interested in getting placements and want opportunities to go and sit into different companies for interviews, please do contact us. This is our new thing that we are starting in now, and a lot of companies are getting connected with us in this case. So if you are okay to sit directly in the interview, we will try to make you sit in the interview. Otherwise you will take our course and then we will place you into some company like this. So this is also we are planning to do in future. So do stay connected with us, and I hope so that today's lecture was understood and it was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and that's all. This is the second part of C++ object oriented classes. I'll see you tomorrow again at 4 p.m. Do not forget this, and come for DSA class also after 1 hour, that is 6 p.m. today. It is scheduled and I'll come in 1 hour.